One of the biggest challenges that soybean farmers face every single year is seed and seedling diseases and insects.
Well, it doesn't change. This has been the same for like the last 30 years.
Wait, I thought you were going to disagree with me.
No, it's Pythium, it's Phytophthora, it's Rhizoctonia. All these problems are just the same thing that
Darren,
we've had, Brian.
I totally set you up though. So I just said every single year. It's not always every single year, and this is the most frustrating thing when it comes to seed diseases. And I don't care what crop it is, we don't always have major problems because who knows, we could have a spring where we had literally no rainfall and we had nice warm conditions, everything popped out of the ground, didn't have any big disease issues.
But it's just the same thing. You plant a crop and you just assume we're probably going to get some rain throughout the year, and it doesn't always happen. Some years you get virtually none and you have a crop failure. Well, guess what? If you don't put some sort of seed treatment on to protect yourself from diseases, you're going to have a crop failure here and there because disease is going to ruin your yield. It might wipe out your complete whole stand in the whole field. I've seen that before. More commonly, it's going to wipe out areas out in the field, and all of a sudden you've got big dead spots in your field. Why would you want that?
Yeah, but the problem is, and I'm just like a lot of people, you want to see data, okay? So people say, well, show me the data, show me the information that proves that this is going to be a good investment for my farm. So it just depends on who you're talking to at the time. If it's a guy who doesn't want you to use anything, he'll show you data where it
He'll show you one test, 1 year, one location, and say, you know what, boy, over at this test, it didn't show up as any difference.
Yep,
but here's what I do. I look at the data from our own farm, and I look at the data over a number of years and say, you know what, this year we gained 1 bushel, this year we gained 5 bushel, this year we gained nothing, and then I average that all out, and I say, wow, that's 6 bushel gain over a 3-year time period. Well, that's 2 bushels a year. Right now, that's about $20 an acre, or $25 even, depending on what the market price is in your area. Well, for something that only costs a couple of bucks, I'll take $20 back. That sounds like a good investment to me.
Yes, but over the last few years now, a lot of companies are starting to put insecticide along with that. So you can buy Cruiser Max, you can buy Trilix 6000 or Innovate or Acceleron, and they aren't just fungicides, they also have that insecticide
This is an even better deal, and it gets right back to the same logic that I just displayed. If I say, well, what are the odds of a disease problem? What are the odds of a bug problem? When I add those two things together, now it's almost 100% chance that I'm going to have one of those two things as a problem. If I can get both of them put on my seed for about the cost of a bushel of soybeans, I'm going to do that every time. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Well, it also makes a lot of difference what that market price is on the soybeans. So sure, it's been a lot easier when soybeans are around $10 as compared to when they were worth $5. So that's a big component of this whole thing. But the way I look at the deal is if I can protect my seed from both diseases and insects, I've got a really good chance to have overall higher yields. And like Darren said, all it comes down to is just average the whole thing out. You know you've got Pythium, Rhizoctonia, and other issues, Phytophthora. There are a whole bunch of different diseases you can have. You can have wireworm, seed corn maggot, seed corn beetle, even some grubs. There are a lot of problems all across the country. We just strongly suggest you take a look at this and look at the average over a period of years, because you are going to have some years where it's 0, but you're going to have a lot of other years where it's 3 to 5.
Okay, well, just to say something too here. This isn't going to mean you're never going to have a bug or you're never going to have a disease affect your crop. There's no product that controls every particular insect and disease completely, season long, perfectly, every crop. No, it doesn't happen. Let's take a couple of diseases in the upper Midwest that have been common over the last couple of years. And in fact, just from the summer of 2010, I'll talk about a couple of problems we had. One was up in the Red River Valley. We had some Phytophthora hit us in July. We had fields that looked fantastic. They were even treated in the spring, looked great, and all of a sudden, bam, Phytophthora hit us late in the season. Now, the culprit isn't that we didn't have a seed treatment on. We did, and that protected us early season like it's supposed to. The culprit was we didn't have a variety that could tolerate those types of problems. Now, for example, you may go with a product that has the RPS3A gene in it in your soybean variety. That way you can withstand those late season Phytophthora impacts. The other one that was a big problem this year was sudden death syndrome, especially if you got across central Iowa this year. It was a disaster. There are a lot of fields that may have yielded in the 20s or even 30 bushel beans where they normally get 60. This is a huge deal when you think about $10 beans. Wow, that might have just been a $300 or $400 an acre problem that you just had. Sudden death syndrome is caused by a fusarium strain that right now none of those early pre-emerge seed treatment products do a great job controlling that particular strain of fusarium.
Well, that's true, but if you've got a weakened plant early on, you're more likely to have problems later on. So my point is, and it's the same way with all crops. You want to do a great job with fertility and weed control and everything else, and I would have the seed treatment on early. You do all that stuff, you've got a better chance to have a
I thought I just set you up, Brent. I thought I set you up to talk about your favorite topic. You know, where we normally see these problems with diseases are in the lower parts of the field when they're poorly drained.
That's right.
And if you get good drainage in your field with subsurface drainage tile, with some surface ditching, whatever the case may be in your particular area, you will have less of these problems. So you can do some cultural things to help you out so you don't have as much of an issue, but seed treatments are an absolute must. They don't pay every single year, but when you talk about over a 3 or 5 year period, they'll pay every time.
Well, there are a lot of different products you can use. There are many that we like. So again, it's Acceleron, Innovate, Trilix 6000, Cruiser Max. Just make sure you're talking to your seed dealer about these things. And again, look at the overall average over a period of years. I mean, and this is something we'll do on our farm using seed treatments. We think you need to take a strong look at it yourself.
Well, even if you spend money on seed treatments, it's still not going to stop our Weed of the Week. We'll show you how coming up next.